The RBI does not print money the way you think. Most people picture a big printing press firing up every time the economy needs cash. That is a myth. And the gap between the myth and the reality is where the inflation is born. Here is the straightforward step by step mechanical reality of how money is created out of nothing. Step 1, the government shortfall. Government almost always spends more money than collecting taxes. To cover this gap, which is called the fiscal deficit, the government has to borrow money, a lot of money. They do this by issuing government bonds. A bond is simply a formalized IOU that says, if you give me 1000 today, I'll pay you back 1060 next year. Step 2, the central bank steps in. Commercial banks, mutual funds, and regular investors buy some of these bonds using money they already have in their savings account. But often, the government needs to borrow so much more money that the existing pool of savings in the country isn't enough to cover it. Enter the Reserve Bank of India. The RBI steps in to buy these government bonds to ensure the government has the cash it needs to help running the country. Step 3. This is where the magic trick happens. If you buy a government bond, you have to actually transfer money from your savings account. That means you're simply moving your money from point A to point B. But when the RBI buys the bond, it does not have big vault of tax rupees or savings that it draws from. Because the central bank is the ultimate legal authority of the currency, it has the power to simply create the money needed for the transaction. The RBI takes the government bond and in exchange it logs into government banking system and types credit into their balance sheet. The digital money did not exist 1 second before the central bank pressed the enter key. It wasn't taxed from anyone. It wasn't saved by anyone. It was manifested into existence purely to facilitate the trade. Now the government has billions of newly created digital rupees sitting in its account. It takes this new money and spends it in the real economy, paying government employee salaries, building highways, or funding welfare programs. Suddenly, there is so much money, a flood of new money circulating in the Indian economy. But, and this is a critical catch, there is not a proportional increase in amount of actual goods and services like houses, cars, or simply wheat or rice. When you have more rupees chasing the exact same amount of physical stuff, the price of the stuff has to go up, right? The currency purchasing power gets diluted. That is inflation. The bottom line, money out of thin air isn't a noisy printing press spitting out physical notes. It's a quiet accounting trick. The government creates debt, a bond, and the central bank buy that debt using digital manufacturing credits. And the cost of this entire operation is quietly passed on to the citizens like you and me through the loss of purchasing power. Most economists say this process is controlled and calibrated. History says it depends entirely on the person who's in charge. Which version do you trust?